mental health conditions. They say about ADHD, which is something I've written about after my own diagnosis in my 50s, that it's the most heritable mental illness there is. Well, as I say in this book, to say that ADHD is the most heritable mental illness is like saying that quartz is the most chewable crystal. Because it's not true. It's neither a disease nor is it genetic. Nobody's ever found a single gene that determines any mental health condition. Nobody's ever found a group of genes that determine any mental health condition. Nobody has ever found a group of genes that if you don't have them, you will not have a certain mental health conditions. There are a large group of genes that the more of them you have, the more you risk, and more at risk you are for any number of mental health conditions, but no specific ones. Which means that the genes cannot cause the disease, because if they did, when they showed up, so should the disease in every case, but it doesn't. And you can have the same disease, or if you want to call it that, but even without the genes. Because the fact is, scientifically speaking, that genes are turned on and off by the environment. So it's a question of what kind of environment is acting on certain genes that'll promote one kind of development or a less healthy kind of development. And that again comes back to the social context. Because it's in the social context, in our set of relationships with our parents, beginning in utero, where the emotional stresses on the mother will already have an impact on the developing brain of the child and the physiology of the child. The birth process, the birthing process, the child-rearing environment, these are the conditions under which we develop in healthy ways or we don't. And my argument is that in this culture, it's increasingly a toxic environment that distorts human development. So if you want to understand why more and more kids are being diagnosed with everything under the sun, and being medicated for it, for that matter, or if you want to understand why there's a inexplicable rising tide of childhood suicides in the United States, about which there's a lot of hand-wringing, but very little insight. Well, if you want to understand the New York Times article that 6 weeks ago revealed that there's one teenager who's on 10 different psychiatric medications. 10 different? They should maybe be on one, if at all. 10 different psychiatric medications.